can't close one of my eyes. Okay. Good sunny day, everybody. It's your favorite intergalactic Prince of the Sun, Enyo Solaris here. Feel free to call me Solaris, or, you know, if you really want to be spicy, then you could just call me Soul. Or you could call me, Hubby. Don't call me that. Well, we're back with another Bleach discussion. I got my friend, his name is, drumroll,
Azerad.
It's good timing. And Azerad. Hello, how's it going, Azerad?
Going pretty well. Excited for more Bleach.
How's your day been?
Bleach. Been very good. I love the Sega Saturn. My new favorite console.
Can I not close my eyes anymore? Am I just broken? Okay, I'll figure out how to close my eyes later. Doctor, please help me. I can't close my eyes. I can't keep my mouth closed. I can't close my eyes and I can't close my mouth. That's really weird, huh? How do you think I should do it?
Painful.
What do you think I should?
Painful.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. How's it going? we're gonna spice up the layout by frick. We're gonna mirror the layout. It'll be fun, I promise. Look at that. Oh frick. Hold on. I did not think this through. No, we're putting it back. We're putting it back. I take it back. I take it back. I take it back. I mixed up the layout well enough. I made it a different time of day. Also, my sword is clipping through the thing. I love the thumbnail. Can we just talk about the thumbnail real fast?
It's neat.
Okay. I'm very happy with the thumbnail. Me and Ichigo's sword. Because we learned about his sword. Okay, here, instead of the first topic being opening, how about we have the first topic be a recap? Wait for people to get here. There might not be anybody coming. I'm not gonna lie to you, Azerad.
It's okay, there's always the VODs.
As soon as I say that, Tevin said touching swords. Hello, Tevin. How's it going? They love me. They love me. When you get a triple headshot in Call of Duty, you can hear parents clapping in the next room. They love me. Anyway. You good there, buddy?
I'm good.
I have to disappear for a second. Why can I not wink? Okay, I have to. Okay, it's fine. Whatever. It's. Hello. Teleports behind you. How's it going? Just some casual sword fighting, yeah. Later, you want to go sword fighting, Azerad?
Whenever I see your avatar pop in and out, I'm like, oh my god, it's the flash step.
It's the flash step. It's the shunpo. Was that another technique they retranslated halfway through the series?
I think they always called it flash step in the dub. I think. I wouldn't be able to remember.
I have seen Bleach multiple times, but I've seen both like the English and the Japanese version, so I can't remember what they changed halfway through the dub versus what is called in the dub in Japanese, whatever. Just some casual sword fighting with friends. Listen, as long as you're enjoying the thumbnail, that's all I care about, I guess. I don't care if you are enjoying the thumbnail for malicious purposes. Anyway, are you ready?
Born ready.
Whoa. That's too much enthusiasm there, buddy.
Yeah, I guess I'm ready.
That's... You don't sound excited about it, though.
It's difficult.
Buying time while trying to fix my layout. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick recap. I don't remember these name changes, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, we're gonna do a quick... Because I also go go back and forth between like Reitsu and spiritual pressure, right? Because
I've heard Reishi and spiritual pressure like both times in the dub. Yeah.
In the dub, yeah. Hell, fire, crack. It was again, the dub was at a weird time where like it was between basically like Pokemon and modern dubs, where like people were just translating everything all the time versus like, oh, we're gonna try to be accurate. But if you're not speaking Nihongo, you're not speaking accurate. Nihongo shika nareru. Nihongo ga nareru shika arimasen na. Learn Japanese. Guys, just learn Japanese. It'll be fine. And then you can still watch the Bleach dub with Johnny on Bosch, but you just watch with Japanese subtitles.
There we go.
That's the true experience. I know that there's people in Japan who do that with like Kingdom Hearts, because they're like, oh, it's a Disney American property, so you have to watch it English dub with Japanese subtitles.
Whoa.
So I know there are some reverse weebs out there, but I don't know if there's anyone who'd go as far as to watch a dub of an anime. Other than out of pure curiosity. Anyway, what's up? Last time on Bleach, quick recap of the first stream, or in the first what happened. Ichigo got superpowers. Ichigo borrowed Rukia's car, and Ichigo went on a big character arc of you know, he has this power inside him, but he had to borrow powers from Rukia, so to speak. And then he was able to use those powers, and then like, oh, but he took too much, and now Rukia is gonna die. And then we met all of his hot friends, and then what happened after that?
We had like little episodes with all of them, and then afterwards, Renji. Wait, do we know their names? We know their names, right? They both say their names, I believe.
Yeah, the red-haired boy. Well, we now know either way, we now know their names. So Renji and Byakuya, yeah, effing yeah. They shanked that hoe. Ichigo squirted blood everywhere, and it was really Listen, the series is violent, but nothing compared to Thousand Year Blood War, where like people's faces melt off. I saw that clip again. I was okay. Anyway,
ahead of ourselves. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Getting a little ahead. Right now, we still have right now we're still in the arc of we can't show too much blood. Let's at least make it black. Like then you can't be able to tell that it's blood. Spoilers! Somebody's face melt off. I'm not gonna say who. It could be Ichigo. Anyway, so yeah, that I also talked a lot about how a lot of the fights are very like metaphoric, because that fight with Ichigo and Renji like wasn't in the first part wasn't just it wasn't like an actual like fight. Renji just wanted to, you know, show how pathetic Ichigo was. Like, you don't even know your sword's name. I know my sword's name. Look at that. And then whasha, he did it. And then that's the only reason. And then Ichigo like started spiking in spiritual pressure, and they're like, oh, maybe he has the power within himself to defeat Renji. And then but he couldn't control it, and then Byakuya just shanked that hoe. By the way, I take it back. They do mention that method that Byakuya used to kill Ichigo was used twice. I completely forgot they briefly mentioned it.
Oh.
Because with Ichigo, Byakuya's like, yeah, I severed his soul chain and soul sleeth or whatever, and that took away his soul reaper powers and killed him.
Mm-hmm.
But in this batch of episodes, Uryu does that to some random jackass, and they also say that's how Aizen died. But anyway, so they're like, they do specifically mention like, oh yes, Uryu's like, oh yes, I shot him in his soul chain and soul sleeve. You know, if he's gonna live, he'll never have a soul reaper, and that's good enough for me. Like, goddamn, Uryu, what the hell?
He's a little bit hardcore in these early parts.
I do like Uryu. And then yeah, and then when they said about Aizen Soul Chain and Soul Sleep, I don't think it's Soul. I think it's Soul Sleeth or Soul Sheath. It makes no sense if it's not Soul Sheath. Am I crazy?
I wouldn't know.
We're looking it up. I'm looking it up. What's your final guess?
Soul Sheath, I guess. That sounds
Soul
right to me, but I'm not sure.
I was gonna say they're all about swords and whatnot, and it's also talking about their like Soul Reaper spiritual pressure powers, right?
I believe so.
Oh my god, I can't find them in English. Local man has no hearing. I don't have any hearing. That's why do you think I watch subbed anime? I would like to issue a formal apology to Devin11. You're right, it is called Soul Sleep. The Saketsu chain binding and Hakusui, which is Soul Sleep, but it's made using a weird kanji. I swear this is gonna be shorter than last time, I promise. I know, that's just a weird way to say sleep. Yeah, you're right. How do you break a sleep? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So I see your Orihime eating an entire loaf of bread that you posted on Twitter, Devin.
We love that.
That's a character arc that that's a character type, that's a character personality that only gets brought up a handful of times. And again, spoilers for in the most recent season, she did it. She was like, I got some bread for us to eat. And I'm like, oh, they did the thing! Looking back at these earlier episodes only makes me more grateful of how good new Bleach is. Because listen, I've been burned in the past of anime coming back and getting a new season and it being trash. Index 3! So I cannot tell you how happy I am that not only Bleach is back, but it's like better than ever. Anyway, so that's what happened last time, is that Ichigo effing died. Also,
Mr. Hat and Clogs had to save him.
Mr. Hat and Clogs? Forgot that was his name. So we will move on to, we'll just go in chronological order, because, like, last time it didn't really have a structure. Last arc didn't really have a structure, it was just kind of introduce the characters, so we're, like, just talked about key moments in the characters, but I think here we can just talk about in chronological order. Starting with the training arc. The one thing I will say, like, the funny thing, like, the very next episode, like, is really funny how, like, you know, like, in the part where they killed Ichigo, like, Renji was, like, this big bad guy. He was, like, this big, intimidating, like, evil guy, and he's like, Rukia, you're gonna come with us, or you're gonna die here, ha ha ha. And then, like, he was, like, this big bad guy and being, like, very, like, aggressive towards Rukia. And then in the literal next episode, they're all, like, buddy-buddy, and he's, like, joking with her. And we're like, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah, it makes you wonder if there was supposed to be, like, a shift in his character.
In one episode?
Maybe, I don't know how the manga chapters were.
I don't know,
maybe
man.
It felt a bit longer.
I don't know. Either that they would just want to portray Renji as intimidating because Ichigo's the main character for, like, his first appearance. And then later, like, behind closed doors, you showed his, like, real personality. Or, like, again, he was just kind of putting on a tough act. Because in the next episode, we immediately hear that Renji was like, wait, holy shit, you're actually gonna kill her? No, don't do that!
I thought we were just gonna yell at her a little bit.
I thought we were just gonna kill the stupid orange hair guy and then move on our way. But no, I think he did actually. I don't know if he talked about killing Rukia. No, I think he said. I think he said something to the effect of, "We're gonna kill the Soul Reaper that you gave your powers to, so you can have your Soul Reaper powers back, and then we're gonna go back to the Soul Society and kill you." Or did he not say that last part?
I don't think. I think. No, but Byakuya does talk about an execution, I believe. Or at least being judged for her crimes.
Oh, that's really weird. That as soon as they got there, Renji was like, "Wait, what? They're gonna kill her." I thought we were just gonna give her a slap on the wrist and send her on her way. Yeah.
I think he thought maybe because Byakuya was high up, that maybe it had some pull and might like let her go. But
yeah, I think that was what that episode was about. Was that Renji's like, haha, don't worry about it. We'll get you out of this cell eventually. You know, your brother is high up in the chain of command. He's a captain and the head clan member. He'll sweet talk this for you. Don't worry about it. And then Byakuya comes back. We're gonna fucking kill her. So she's gonna die, and we're gonna use this big staff. That we're gonna use the whatever the fudge they call it. Not the Hogyoku. The fudge was it called? The give me a minute while I browse through my memory real fast.
While I type up the memory search.
While I type up the memory search. I was close. Sokyoku. They don't show it, but they say what it is. He's a head clan member, yeah. They're like, we're gonna kill her. He's like the head of the Byakuya clan. The Byakuya is like one of the 4 like great clans that they never bring up outside of like novels.
The Kuchiki clan, I believe, right?
Yeah, you know, because his name's Byakuya Kuchiki. I think you could, you know, you could maybe figure that out on your own. I love you. Don't be me. I'm sorry. I'm upset. He's not upset. He's just playing Cookie Clicker. Don't worry about him.
No.
You are upset?
I'm not upset.
Okay. Byakuya Kuchi. Wait. I knew you weren't upset, buddy. You could never get mad at me unless I gave you a bowl of rats to eat, and even then you'd be like, I think you filled my bowl with rats instead of cereal. Could you a silly mistake.
I would say something along the lines, I believe this is a misunderstanding.
There's no way that this is we can talk about this. Anyway, talking about the actual episode, now that we've wasted 20 minutes of the stream talking about nothing. But yeah, Ichigo has straight up just lost all of his powers. He has to start from square one, which is pretty cool. Because again, like what I think Heaven was saying earlier, Ichigo had to borrow Rukia's car or whatever, and this whole arc is about him, like, you know, gaining his own power, getting the power from within him, you know?
Getting his own car.
Getting his own car! He had the car in him the whole time. Something else I was gonna say in the preamble is, I was talking about how a lot of the fights are very metaphoric, and that is very evident in this arc. But yeah, I like how everyone went through training arcs. Ichigo got beat up by a bunch of elementary school kids. Which, again, they, like, never show up in any canon episode ever again. But apparently they are, like, strong enough to, like, fight Soul Reapers. And I'm like, huh? I still want to know where he got those kids.
Whose kids are those?
Whose kids are those? Are they his kids? Who's the mom? I don't understand. Did he just pick them up off the street? Where do they come from? Where do they go? But yeah, also, they do appear in other stuff. I know they appear in, like, the filler episode that I said to not watch, but I watched anyway. But yeah, I also like how Orihime and Chad have little training arcs because they've, at this point in the series, have only used their powers once accidentally. So they learn how to, like, call on their powers. It's still weird that Orihime's powers are like 6 fairies that have personality and can talk. Like, were they all? What happened before, like, they were awakened? Were they just, like, sleeping inside her soul or whatever? Like, did she birth these creatures?
Well, the fairies talk to each other as if they have, like, history.
Yeah.
They're like, why would you do this? You normally do this. And it's like, I guess they were, like, alive beforehand, or they were, like, summoned by someone else. I don't know.
Don't worry.
They don't like explaining Orihime's power.
Shut up, don't think about it. In the spoilers, no spoilers, but in the next arc, they do talk about a little bit about Orihime's powers, but don't worry about it. I also like how Uryu's doing secret trainings for his, like, secret glove thing. That's the funny thing about, Uryu, is that, like, he gets new... Because it's, we'll talk about it next time. I was gonna talk about the Bound arc, but I'm like, the Bound arc isn't spoilers for this arc, but I'm like, oh wait, that is a spoiler for what happens later in this arc, so never mind. Talk about it next time. Anyway, Uryu's does secret training with his fancy glove, because he's really salty about taking an L from Renji. Because, like, yeah, he did not, he just died immediately against Renji, where Ichigo could at least, like, kind of hold his own a little bit before immediately dying. Uryu just, like, dead.
Yeah, I don't believe Renji used his Shikai on Uryu.
Yeah, it wasn't until Ichigo came over and be like, you guys go around naming your swords, what the heck? But yeah, it's a really, but yeah, their arcs are... There's not a whole lot of time dedicated to their training arcs. It's mostly focused on Ichigo, but they do enough. They do enough to be like, yeah, they train their powers, and now they can use their powers. The only one who got, like, new powers was, like, Uryu, and then they have, like, a fight to show that off later. But it's mostly focused on Ichigo, where he's got to start at the bottom and get to the top. But, yeah, they have, like, fights with, 12-year-olds, Do I have this in the wrong order?
I hope not. We just started.
So let's talk about the screaming, but that's after he gets the... No, wait. I don't know, man. Ichigo's... Oh, no, wait. How does that happen? Oh, yeah, no. You're right. I'm right. When they put him... He gets his, like, his spiritual powers back. But he still doesn't have Soul Reaper powers. So then they cut his chain and throw him in a big hole. And they're like, you got to become a Soul Reaper. You're going to become a Hollow. And then, like, as it gets closer, like, he just starts horrifically screaming, and the encroachment, like, that has to be, like, some of the best, like, dub lines in the entire universe of just Johnny and Bosch, like, screaming horrifically at the top of his lungs, like, as Ichigo's on the verge of becoming a Hollow. Like, it's so painful and goes on for, like, so long.
They were a little bit unhinged back then.
Johnny and Bosch puts in the work. Weren't you telling me or something that in an interview he said he like shot out his throat for like a week after that?
I don't know if it was after that specific thing, but there was something where he did a recording session for Bleach and he was just messed up.
I have to imagine it was that, because like they have a shot of him like screaming and like at the top of his lungs. And then that shot goes on for like 10 seconds, and then they cut away, but he's still screaming in the background, that same like audio track, while other people have. Like, it's really great, and it sounds really it sounds like it's like a good scream in the way that like it sounds not only painful, but it sounds like somewhat demonic too. Like he's fighting against the pain of becoming a Hollow, and like the Hollow, he's like slowly turning into a Hollow too. Like he has like this, it's like painful and like evil at the same time, and it's really good. It's chef's kiss. I also rewatched that scene listening to the Japanese version of that scream just because I was curious, and it's more or less the same thing. It sounds a little bit more demonic than evil, but I like the, you know what, I think I'll give the W to Johnny and Bosch at this point. Just because of how, like, horrific and painful and while also demonic it sounds.
That's our boy.
But yeah, and then they go to Ichigo's inner world. And then that's really cool. I think it's kind of implied that everybody has, like, an inner world. Although we haven't seen any yet. Question mark?
I can tell you we haven't seen any. Unless filler proves otherwise. But the soul dimension? Wait a minute, that's where Blaze is from. But anyway,
this is where I actually have a problem with the dub. We were just talking about the good dub, but listen, we can talk about bad things. I think that's just called Inner World. Anyway, Ichigo's Inner World, it's a bunch of buildings on their side, and then Ichigo's like, wait, why is everything on its side? And he starts falling down, just dying. And then, but before he falls down, he runs into a mysterious old man. And this is when I have a problem with the dub, because in the manga and Japanese version, Ichigo's like, hey, who are you? And he's like, oh, don't you know it's me? Like, they clearly, like, blur it out. But in the...
Yeah, use a censor.
Yeah, like, in the... I forget what... It's like, I forget what the sound effect sounds in Japanese. It's like the, it sounds like an underwater, like, gurgling effect, like, whoosh, something like that. But I also just have a screenshot of the manga here. And here you can see, like, it's clearly, like, cut off. But in the dub, they just say, it's me, Zangetsu. Completely killing the tone, the pacing of the unveiling of Zangetsu later. And also maybe messing with continuity. We'll talk about that later, but... it's just a black bar. It's not just a black bar. It's got little, like, cracks on it. Like, it's broken or something. But either way, even in both versions, Ichigo's like, huh, that's weird. I couldn't hear his name. But it doesn't make any gosh dang sense in the English version because they didn't blur it out his name. And I'll complain about this more in about 300 episodes. But it's one of those things where it's like, is it foreshadowing, or is Taidakubo just making shit up as he goes? It's all, unless you can prove otherwise, it's foreshadowing. Because, yeah, after he gets his Soul Reaper powers, they're like, oh yeah, that's Zanpakuto, it's Zangetsu. But I don't know, man. We can talk about that more later. But, do you know I hate the rain? That was not yet! That's not yet! We're not there yet! Look at the top of the screen! Get your stuff together, Tevin! Anyway, I like how, you know, they explain, I think, later in this arc. Okay, fine, I just yelled at Tevin for this, but now I'm gonna do it. Later they explain, when Ichigo goes back to this world later, it's on its side, but he can stand up. And he explains, like, oh yeah, the reason that you fell down last time was because your world is in balance. Or not in balance. So we know, so now, retroactively, we know the fact that Ichigo fell down was because he was in turmoil of getting taken over by a hollow and losing his Soul Reaper powers and getting murdered and whatnot.
It wasn't just a random thing, allegedly.
Yeah, they do that a little bit later, where like depending on what Ichigo's going through, they like change his like inner world a little bit, and I like it a lot. No spoilers, but they do bring that back up, and I like it. But yeah, I like how it's like on its side and everything's like falling, because like literally everything is falling apart. It's kind of like a metaphor, right? This is what I was talking about. This is like a training arc, but it's not like, oh, you have to master how to use this power. Like, Ichigo has to, like, meditate at the bottom of a hole and, like, go in his inner world and, you know, you can see how it's very metaphorical. You understand?
You asking me?
The default is I'm asking you, yes.
Okay, yes, I understand.
Yeah, about how it's, like, metaphorical. Ichigo's mental instability by having literal, instability in his little inner world. Very, like... That's not that deep of a metaphor, like, oh, his inner world is crumbling apart because his mentality is crumbling apart. But it still it works really well and it looks nice. There's not a lot of, like, one kind of issue that I do have with Bleach is that there's not a whole lot of, like, iconic scenery. But that side, Ichigo's inner world is definitely one of the few exceptions where, like, it doesn't just look like... Because, like, so far we've seen, like, the real world, which just looks like real modern-day-ass Japan. And we've seen the Soul Society, which just looks like... is cool, but it's just, like, old-timey samurai Japan.
Yeah, it's not super distinguishable from like other anime that try to like replicate that like locale.
Yeah, but but Ichigo's inner world, like if you just see that scenery without any characters in it, you like immediately recognize like, oh, that's from Bleach. So I like it a lot. So yeah, but then so he's fallen off. Why is Heaven stuck in ancient Japan? That's a good question. I think the novels tried to answer it, but they didn't give a very good explanation. I think it's just like it didn't happen. It just didn't happen. Don't worry about it. I don't know why either. None about the Soul Society makes any sense, but we're talking about Ichigo right now. Because they clearly have access to modern technology, like they can go to the human world and see all the... Okay, anyway. You know what I mean, Azerad?
Mm-hmm. They didn't have a Thomas Edison die and go to the Soul Society, I guess.
But they could just go to where Thomas Edison is. These Soul Reaper guys have been alive for billions of years.
I guess they're, you know, they'll do it their way, we'll do it our way type thing. Not sure.
We don't want no dirty Western technology in our gracious Japan society.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, I'm sure. It's just, listen, here's the thought process that Taidakubo went through. How am I going to distinguish the Soul Society from the real world? Oh, I get it. Since they're all samurais, we'll make it samurai times. End of thought. You did not think about it any further, I'm sorry to tell you. He was like, yeah, that's good enough, right?
I also think Kubo also just does a lot of things. I think this looks cool. I like samurais. This is kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. Kubo definitely just follows the rule of cool. He's very good at making it make sense most of the time. But, yeah, it's just the rule of cool. Anyway, so Ichigo's falling down, and, the old man's like, hey, here's all these boxes. One of these boxes has your Soul Reaper powers. And if you can't find it in the next 5 seconds, you're gonna die. Okay, good luck, bye. And then, he has, like, a flashback to Uryu being like, oh, wait, Uryu said that you could sense, and the ribbons, and this is, like, the last time ribbons are ever brought up, by the way. Because Ichigo used it once to, I think, find the bird, and then Uryu used it once, and that's where he explained that the Soul Reaper ribbons are red. It's also in the first ending. Ruki is holding a red ribbon. I think that's what that's supposed to be. That, or it's just supposed to be the generic Japanese string of fate or whatever. But yeah, so Ichigo's like, yeah, I remember. I gotta grab the red box. And he finds the red box and he gets his powers. And, he says something, frick, what was I gonna say? He says the old man says something very confusing. He said, that, the power... He was like, hey, Ichigo, you got your power. The power was within you the whole time. The power that you borrowed from Rukia just awakened the power, and that's how you were able to get it back after Byakuya killed you. But he also says that his powers retreated into his soul an instant before Byakuya stabbed him. So, like, which is it? I don't understand.
The logistics to how Ichigo's powers work is always a little bit muddy.
Yeah, because it seems like that old man is, like, contradicting himself. Because he says both you had the power within you the whole time, and the powers, like, just retreated right before Byakuya stabbed you and took your powers away. Like, Either way, power within, the power within, the power within, the power within. I think that's is that a Power Rangers reference?
Possibly. We love Johnny and Bosch.
We are Johnny and Bosch enjoyers in this chat. I don't know. Either way, oh, SpongeBob reference? We were way off?
Uh-oh.
Anyway, he just had to, like, better understand himself to get his powers back. He had to realize that he had to meditate, he had to go into his inner world. He had to realize that the power to save his friends was within himself the whole time, and those powers just need to be awakened. Very, very Buddhist, very metaphorical, spiritual kind of way of doing it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Because again, the main visuals, I think, are the appeal to the series, but, like, the visuals mean something a lot of the time, you know? Like Ichigo going into his inner world and fighting against his like hollow, and is really great. Old man, even though he looks like he should be in his 30s. People who are in their 30s are old. You know, I know that Club Penguin meme where it's like elderly is 18 plus. I have arthritis. Anyway. I don't have arthritis. It's fine. My knee feels fine. I don't have arthritis. My doctor's wrong. Do you have any comments on this, Azerad?
I don't think I should. I'm not qualified.
I'm not qualified. You are gonna die. But anyway, he had the power within himself the whole time. And he didn't need to borrow Rukia's car after all. He got his own car. Congratulations. Again, Ichigo's powers being more interesting than a regular shonen protagonist, because like a lot of the shonen protagonists be like, oh, you have the power within you the whole time, but like it kind of this started with him like borrowing his powers, and then he had to like figure out how to get his like real powers back. So it's really sick. And then I love the shot where he comes out of the hole and he's a Soul Reaper, but he has a hollow mask, and they're like, what is it? Did he turn into a hollow or a Soul Reaper? And then he breaks the mask in half and tears it off, and he's like, okay, that was weird. Sure, that's not gonna be plot relevant later. What do you like?
It's a very cool image too. I like it a lot. I've seen it in the manga and the anime, and there's just some very cool shots of Ichigo with the mask.
There's a lot of cool imagery. It's also his like sword is still like cut in half from when Byakuya cut it. So like he's just like right back to like right before Byakuya killed him. So like his sword is still stuck in half. So he like just had to use the hilt of his sword to like bash this mask off and like tear it off. And he also had like some bindings around his shoulder, I think from when he was in the hole. Hat and Clog's friend like used magic to try to hold him down. I think that's what that's from. Am I right?
I believe so.
Yeah. Yeah, also, since we're also talking about this arc in general, the mask comes back. Cause after the fight with Renji, they're like, oh yeah, he has this mask protected him from a fatal blow. It's weird, right? So the mask is plot relevant, so keep it in the back of your head. Keep it in the back of your head. It's not gonna be relevant at all. Don't worry about it. Just keep it in the back. Just put a pin in that one for the moment. But yeah. Anything you want to say about the mask?
I think it looks cool.
I think it looks cool.
That's as much as I can say at the moment. I have a few more things to say way down the road, but
yeah,
we're not there yet.
A lot of the things look cool. Listen, the series just looks cool in general. Like mostly like character stuff and like powers and whatnot. But again, there are a few environments that look really cool, but it's mostly like character focused. And then afterwards, like so he still has that. So he has his Soul Reaper powers back, but he still has this like little stump of a sword. So he needs to figure out how to awaken it, I guess. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure the mechanics of how those swords work, because they explain it later. Like I think it can like I don't remember. But either way, his sword's broken, and the only way to fix it is to learn its name and then release it. And then he does that.
Which has to do with him going into his inner world and such.
I don't think he goes into his inner world. He does talk to the old man.
Right? Doesn't that involve going into the inner world? Or am I crazy?
I don't remember. I think it's just like time slowed down and the old man appeared, but I don't think he actually like officially went into the inner world. Either way, so he's fighting Hat and Clogs, and he's like fearing for his life, and then the old man's like, hey, if you want to win, then you just have to abandon all fear and face the opponent head on. Because he just was like, oh, I'm scared! I'm gonna pee my pants, I'm so scared! and then the old man's like, you gotta get your shit together, buddy. So he's like, hey, face your opponent head on, don't be afraid, and he's like, also say my name, and then he was like, and then he said, I forget his sword's name. I'm drawing a blank. Zangetsu, yes. He's like, Zangetsu! And then he explodes, and then there's that awesome sick-ass shot of him, like, kneeling there with the sword. Yeah, also abandoning all fear is another, abandoning all fear in order to fight your opponent is a thing that comes up back later. But yeah, he gets his sword, and learns the old man's name, which we will call for the moment Zangetsu. And but yeah, Ichigo's new sword is cool as hell. Because listen, his old sword was cool because it was like just a big sword. It was a big samurai sword, and that was cool because big samurai swords aren't a thing. But his new sword, his new and improved Zanpakuto, it looks so effing sick.
Yeah, I very, very much like how Zangetsu looks.
Let's see if I can pull up a picture for the stream. But yeah, it's got like a curve to it. What the frick? Chotomate kudasai. I've ruined it. I've ruined everything. Okay, I fixed it. I fixed everything. I fixed everything. There you go. We'll pull up a screeny. Look at that. Isn't that sick as heck? Also make the chat box to the top.
It's such an iconic picture for Ichigo.
It is very iconic. They've recreated that in several like promotional material. But him just like standing there with his sword, and you get a really good look at his sword. It's really sick because it's still like a big sword, but it has like a unique design. It looks like a moon. Its name in English is Moon Slayer, or like slaying moon. I think Zan means kite, and then Getsu means moon. So it's literally like a moon cutter. Which, how does that have to do with Ichigo and his orange hair? Don't worry about it. It's a cool name, okay? I also like how the guard and the hilt of it, about how like the cloth going around like the handle also kind of grows and spins into a sheath. I'm not sure how that works. I don't think they've shown him putting his sword away. It's just kind of put away in the next scene. Because if you see this picture, like, if looking at this picture, there's no way that little strap is big enough to wrap all the way around the sword, but it is. So don't worry about it, and it looks cool. But yeah, it's a really cool sword. You have anything else to say?
No, I love the sword.
I like
as much as I gotta say.
Yeah, I think all the Zanpakuto have that like red and white or black and white coloration, and you'll notice a lot of the series has focuses on black and white coloration to make things pop out and be cool, which I'm sure you can guess was because it was a black and white manga. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And then like he's like, I can't control this power yet, and then it just explodes out of him in a giant blue wave, which I don't think has a name yet, but that blue wave comes back later. That's sick as heck. But yeah, I like it. I'm a somewhat... So Ichigo's sword just kind of stays out from this point on. Like, that's just the default state of the sword. Like, we never see it go back to a sealed state, which is a bit weird. I don't know if they ever explain it. I think they're just like, Ichigo's so powerful that he can have his sword out all the time and not expend energy or whatever. Or maybe I guess everybody can keep the sword out like that all the time, but they feel the need to not, I guess. I don't know, man. Do you have any ideas?
I don't have ideas, but I will point out it's a little bit odd, but because especially we don't really see it much for any other character either. And from what I remember, we don't get an answer to why Ichigo's like sealed form, because all the captains, their sealed forms are just regular katanas, but his, it's like always, I guess, it was before, it was the big version,
Yeah,
I'm not
well,
sure why.
they did explain that in the last. They're like, oh yeah, you know, just because you have big... I think during the first fight with Byakuya and Renji, Byakuya was like, oh, most Soul Reaper... Or maybe it was Uryu. Somebody said at one point, like, oh, most Soul Reapers know how to compress their spiritual energy, or else everyone would be running around swinging swords the size of buildings. I think they did make that joke. So they explained why Ichigo's sealed sword is so big, but they never explained why they sealed it and he doesn't seal it ever again. Other than he's just so powerful, I guess. That, or maybe his sealed sword is just broken now. So hypothetically, if he ever sealed his sword again, it would just be that stump. I don't know, man. Either way, it looks cool. It looks cool when he has it on. We are big sword enjoyers. Definitely one of the top 10 anime sword designs, right behind my sword. Right?
Yeah.
Probably a little bit ahead. I don't know. It is very simple and very like effective. It looks very nice. I like it a lot. It's a nice, very simple, effective sword thing they got going on. So are you looking at the stream?
I am.
Okay.
That's how I was able to comment on the Ichigo shot, saying it's iconic.
Here's Ichigo being here's the scene where he came out and he has a mask on. Yeah, the design of the mask is consistent too, because we see those lines on the left side of it. But what I wanted to ask is, in the opening, who is this character? There's like a character in the upper left panel that we see for a couple of frames, but like we don't get a good look at. Who's that character? What is that? They look like
upper left.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I can't tell from that.
It looks like another Soul Reaper. Maybe that one Soul Reaper showed up during the Grand Fisher arc, if I have to guess. That's the only other Soul Reaper from that first arc other than Byakuya and Renji. No idea, dude. Absolutely zero idea. Anyway, anything else you want to say about the training arc?
No, not really. Honestly, it was... I enjoyed the pacing of it. It wasn't too long. And again, they introduced a little bit more some concepts that I really like.
Yeah,
it's nice to actually get Ichigo's sword name and all that stuff.
Yeah, I definitely like all the steps that they had to do, because like first, you know, they had to kick him out of his body, and then they had to give him some of his spiritual pressure back, and then they had to throw him down a hole, and then he had to get his Soul Reaper powers back, and then he had to learn his Zanpakuto's name. So like it was a multi-step process. So and I think the whole thing was like 4 or 5 episodes maybe. It was definitely not very long. And in the middle we had a little training mini arc with Orihime, Chad, and Uryu. So yeah, good training arc. Please let me type. Okay. Next one I'll just call breaking and entering, which is too long to fit on the screen. Is that how you spell entering? E-N-T-E-R. Is it good?
No, it's out of there.
Entering.
Yeah, that's how you spell it.
Okay. But yeah, for this next part, I feel like this is definitely, I think, the weakest part of the series so far, of this like first couple arc of like, because they get there and then they spend like 20 minutes like screwing around, not really doing anything, just to get into the Soul Society. Right? Am I crazy?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not a huge fan of these and this part of the story. I'm also not a fan of the characters they introduce, which might be a little bit more of a controversial take. But I'm not sure because I don't care for. I don't even remember their names. I'm not sure if you do.
Only because I just watched it. Ganju and Kuhaku are the only memorable characters that have any sort of relevance.
and I'm not too big of a fan of either of them, and it's not just because they're not Soul Reapers. I don't think the whole fireworks like aesthetic and power, or I call it power. They're just using bombs and stuff.
It's not a power. They're just they're just hucking crap at you.
And I personally, I don't find it very interesting. And also it's one of the few times where I think Kubo's design don't really like speak to me. I don't feel like there's that cohesiveness that the other characters, especially the other Soul Reapers,
yeah, well,
maybe just Ichigo's friends, right? Like they look weird to me. I'm not a fan.
They do look a lot of places. I do like Kohaku's design a little bit, not just because big booby, but you know, she has like tattoos and like she's missing an arm. It's just cool. And they also build her up as like this big grand sage, and she's just like some girl with big boobs.
Yeah, I do remember. I think they thought it was a male, but then when you finally get to her,
yeah,
or maybe it wasn't a male. Maybe it was just an old lady. They thought. I'm not sure.
No, they were surprised. Like, you're a woman? What the frick? Because Yoriichi was like, oh yes, this person is very old and wise, and they're like, oh, I wonder if it's a long man with a beard. Like, no. I think they spent a little too much time on that joke, but hey, whatever. But yeah, again, what have I missed? Hi, we're talking about the very mid section. We're talking about how like the only thing of note is those two characters, and those two characters aren't even that much of note, other than the lady who have big boobies.
I will say the only thing that and also I'm not a huge fan, and Bleach kind of does this a lot going forward, and it's a trope a lot of shonens seem to fall into, where they split up the main party so they can all have their own individual like fights and screen time. And I guess for this opening section, I'm just really not a huge fan of it.
I don't think they do that in the opening, the breaking and entering part. I think they split up as soon as they get to the Soul Society.
Oh, you're right. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Da, da, da. Yeah, I was gonna say, I was actually gonna talk about that too. That this arc, while good, it does start something I kind of hate in shows where again they separate and then they just switch between multiple characters' perspective like constantly during an episode. So like you're like halfway through a conversation, and they're like, let's see what this guy's doing, and they're like, I want to know, I'm following this story arc.
And I think Bleach overall does a really bad job of it, because it'll do it in the middle of a fight. Like someone will be swinging their sword and they'll stop it and be like, whoa, wait a minute, what's Chad doing?
What's Chad doing? I feel like, I mean, it's not, in this arc, it's not that bad, and it's still, even at its worst, it's still better than, like, every single goddamn American drama I've ever seen. Because that's mostly why I can't watch, like, American dramas, because they do that all the time. There's, like, I watched, like, half an episode of Game of Thrones. There's, like, 1 million characters, and you spend, like, 5 seconds an episode with them each, and it's drives me up a goddamn wall.
Yeah, here it's not as bad, especially I think especially in this arc, it's not as too bad because these fights are all pretty short, to be honest. These aren't like crazy huge fights.
Yeah, and they don't do that bad of a job of, they do a good job of like not interrupting like fights. They do like they let important scenes like continue on. They don't like cliffhanger you to make you keep watching. Which is why I think a lot of shows do that, is be like, oh, if you really want to know what happened, you just got to keep watching, and they just kind of drip feed you like you're a crack addict. But the show is, at least at the moment, I remember it getting bad later, but I don't remember it ever getting that bad. But, yeah, it's, I'm not a huge fan, but it does work. It does work when it works, you know? It is good at, like, giving weight to things, and letting and again, everything is happening at the same time, so it really feels like, you know, even if they're not together, they're still all doing these things at the same time.
Yeah.
Do they do that in Fairy Tail? Also, she was missing an arm. They didn't censor it. Am I crazy? I think sometimes she had like a wooden arm, but she still didn't have an arm. I don't have a screenshot, but it was, I do definitely distinctly, both in the manga and in the anime, she was missing an arm. Maybe that they in the anime they just add a wooden arm to her, but they still, I don't know. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Ba, 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 ba. Let's see what Gray is doing. I'm gonna kill you, main character, right now. Let's see what Gray is doing. Anyway, even though this section is kind of, it was definitely like the slog where I'm like, okay, I guess we're watching it now. Like, I could definitely tell, like, it wasn't like awful to get through, but I could definitely tell that like I was more engaged before and after this. So, and again, it doesn't go on for too long. It's like 4 or 5 episodes, and in a 210 episode series, not too bad. Hello, Uwu. It's the British. The British have come. I don't remember if Uwu's actually British. Yeah, they gave her prosthetics. Giving prosthetics is not the same as censoring a broken limb.
Were the prosthetics not present in the manga?
Maybe not. I don't remember. I don't know. If... Yes, I am. You're here or you're British, or both. Anyway, we were just talking about the part where they are entering. Where they just entered the Soul Society. They went through like a tunnel that we see later on, but right now a train tries to run them over, and Orihime protects them. Not super relevant, but hey, I think that's the one useful thing Orihime does this entire arc. So let her have her W. Let her have your W. Actually, from Neptune, so neither. Understandable. Have a good day. Should I amputate in the manga? In the anime, they gave her wooden prosthetics. I feel like I could find a shot where she was not wearing the prosthetic. I'll write that down to find for next time, and we'll bring it up next time. Only have... He swaps prosthetic, even though he just wrote it. Okay, I'll look in that. I'll look into that later. Anyway. But yeah, I like, when they first, I mean, we do get some world building, like we learn how the Soul Society works, and I find it really funny how, like, in the first arc, they're like, oh yes, the Soul Society is a beautiful place where you'll never be sad, and you'll never be hungry, and you'll be able to be with your family again, and then they get there, and it's like, the slums!
There's actually bad neighborhoods of the Soul Society.
They fall into, they're like, let's go see what this wonderful afterlife is like, and then they fall in, and it's literally like the ghetto. And like, nobody knows where their family is, because like, Chad has a reunion with his bird friend, which I do actually like. I like that little connection with the first arc. Because in the first arc, they're like, oh, when I get to the Soul Society, will you visit me? And Chad's like, yeah, maybe someday. And then they do, and it's great. I love it. So I like that, but like then they find out like, oh, I don't know where my mom is. Nobody really knows where any of their family is. So we just have all these like makeshift believe families. Like, huh? Was Rukia just straight lying? I mean, I guess she didn't technically lie, because she's like, oh, you'll be able to be with your mom again. You won't be anywhere close by, but at least you'll be in the same dimension, I suppose.
Maybe if you're super lucky.
If you get, like, really lucky, then maybe you can see your parents again. What is this image? Oh yeah, the Seirete in the Rukon district. Where, like... Why is the... Okay, I have a question. If the Soul Society, if the Seirete, where all the Soul Reapers live, is supposed to be like the super high class, that's where all the nobles live, that's where all the top surviving, like, families are, why is directly outside of it the ghetto? Is that how it works, like, in real life? Or do I not know my geography?
I don't think that's how that works, usually.
But I don't know, like... I guess that's why. I guess that's why they have a magical barrier to stop all the poor from getting in. The only reason I could possibly think why they would have a magical barrier protecting the Soul Society, because literally, like, they have all these effing captains and Soul Reapers in there, and like, if it was literally if that party just didn't have Ichigo, like, they'd just be instantly dead. They had a shot where like he fought the gate guard and they opened the gate and then like, but they had a captain there. Gin was just there and he skewered them. That was a good shot. You know, I have to say, I think in the last episode we were talking about how the series doesn't have any like good animation so far. That's starting to change a little bit. Like, I remember the shot where Gin, like, used his, Zanpakuto, like, released his Zanpakuto and skewered Ichigo. I remember that being, like, pretty, like, well animated.
It's starting to pick up slowly from this point on. And, yeah, I do actually really like the Gin Ichigo interaction that happens at the gate. I remember that being like, whoa, I was surprised when I got to that, and that's, like, a pretty recent, experience for me.
Yeah. Can you say something?
Hello?
Okay, I thought you were muted. Ichimaru with his long sword. But yeah, it's really cool how we get to see like everybody's sword powers. It's really cool. I was worried, also here's a good shot of Gin. I like the shot. I have a soft spot for Gin. I don't know why. I'm just a fan of characters that are around to just be troll characters to antagonize other characters. And I also like his fox face.
I do like Gin's face.
I'm a fan of Gin. But yeah, what I was gonna say earlier about the Zanpakuto is a big appeal of like the first watch through of this show was getting to see what everyone's power is, because if you're going through the show the first time, you're like, okay, everybody has a cool Zanpakuto form, and so you're going through like, ooh, I wonder what their Zanpakuto looks like. Ooh, I wonder what their Zanpakuto looks like, and it's cool to be able to see them, and like that is a big draw of like seeing the show for the first time. So I was somewhat worried that like on a rewatch, now that I'm very well familiar with everyone's powers, that I would kind of not enjoy it as much, but I was wrong. Like, now I feel like it's the opposite. Like, now that I know what all their powers are, now it's like really cool to like see them whip it out, you know? Like, even though I knew that Gin's power was that he has a really long sword, it was still cool to be like, oh, he's gonna pull it out, let's do it, let's go! Don't clip that out of context.
Flushed emoji.
But no, it's still cool to see people like it's still cool to see people's Zanpakuto, even if you know what everyone's Zanpakuto power is, they still look cool and they're all still very unique and very cool, right? Like, there's very few Zanpakuto that are just, their sword looks a little different, I guess. Like, so far, we've seen Renji's, which is like this weird like whip sword, which looks hella sick. Ichigo's, which is somewhat more basic, but he's the main character and it still looks really cool, and it's still like a big sword and it's got like the crescent moon aesthetic to it. And then we saw Gin, and he has a big long pokeboy. There's no way to talk about Gin's power without it sounding sexual, I'm sorry. This has been evident ever since the series was originally airing. Anytime people are like, I really like Gin's power, you know, he's got a long sword and it penetrates people at a distance.
And it's really long.
It's like really long. Renji's ivory Valentine sword. Yeah, it's not just a whip sword though. It's also got like fangs on it. It looks really sick. I love it a lot. Ichigo's fish cutter. Again, even Ichigo's more simplistic design still looks really sick, so I don't know what you want me to do. What do you want me to say, man? Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, we were complaining about the Soul Society's class system. Because, like, they talk about how, like, oh, you can't get hungry, but, like, why are you... How... I don't understand I don't understand economics, and apparently neither does Tadakubo. Why, if everybody's hungry, why are they poor? Like, usually when you're poor, it's like, oh, I'm poor because any money that I do get, I can't save it up because it has to go to food. But if you don't need to eat, then you can just continue making money on the side, and you live like 1,000 years anyway. So even if you only like, sold bugs for like half a yen like every other day, like you'd still be able to save up enough money to leave the ghetto. So like, I don't get it.
It's odd, the logistics of the Soul Society.
I thought they did get hungry just at a slower rate. No, they go out of their way to say only people with spiritual powers get hungry. So they made a big deal about during a flashback about baby Rukia was getting hungry, and they're like, if you're getting hungry, that must mean you have spiritual power in you. But even if you get hungry and you have spiritual power in you, then most people who have spiritual power in them go to be Soul Reapers in the high class society. I don't know. I don't get it. Why, if they don't get hungry, why are they living in the slums and acting like they're barely getting by? Why are they acting like, oh, I gotta fight to survive? And I'm like, no, you have food. You have food. Nobody's trying to kill you. You have food. Unless people do try to kill you. Do people rob? Maybe that's it. Maybe people like rob. Maybe if like you try to save up, people can't get rich because they can't save up money because any money that they do save up gets robbed, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. I think there might be like, I don't know, vagrant spirits. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Might be a thing they've said.
Vagrant spirit? Oh, like evil spirits, like vagabonds. You said you don't go growing old in the head to sit in the Soul Society, but what about the head captain? Don't worry about it. Yeah, don't think about it. Yeah, just because you get a long gray beard doesn't mean you're getting old. It just means you have a long gray beard. It's completely unrelated. Even when you're dead, life sucks. Great, I can't even die. And yeah, I've already talked about, I have no idea why the Soul Society is permanently in Japan times when, like, they have access to human future technology. It has to just be a choice. Because I know, like, in one of the novels, they're like, oh, yeah, it would be nice if we had, like, the modern printing press, because they want to make, like, a newspaper or whatever. And they're like, yeah, we have to do things the old-fashioned way because we don't have a printing press. And I'm like, you could, though. You could just go to the human world and grab one. You could use Urahara's Hat and Clog's technology to, because Ichigo is able to go to the Soul Society because he's like a Soul Reaper and he's a soul. But like for everybody else, like Hat and Clog's explained that like, oh yeah, I'm gonna use a special gate to transfer physical matter into spiritual matter so you can go to the Soul Society. Why not just, what happened if you just throw in a computer or a phone or something into that gate and then you just introduce technology to that world?
They also have that whole like intelligence systems place with the computers and stuff and the medical labs.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's like, I don't know, they should be able to like come up with something. A printing press should be like the easiest thing.
It's very Hogwarts for that reason, old stuff that people still use. Yeah, it has to be like, again, Tadakubo just thought, it's samurai time or cool, let's do samurai time, and didn't think much past it probably, but my guess is that if there is an explanation, there has to be that, it's a conscious decision that they're like, yeah, we're just gonna retain this samurai system we got going on. Spoiler, someone definitely brought stuff from the human world to Soul Society. I was gonna say that, but I wasn't gonna say that, but yeah, you are right. Anyway, I don't get it, but it's still cool how Chad has a reunion with his bird. He still can't see his mom, but he still can see his bird. The other thing I was going to talk about was speaking of Gin, I really like, I think we also get introduced to the 13 captains. And I think the 13 captains might be the best designed group of characters in an anime. Like, they look so sick. You have no idea. Let me see if I can get a picture. But what is your thoughts on this?
I really, really like them, and it kind of shows Kubo's strength of like, and this is kind of like a starting trend, but it never gets as good as this. I think it gets like decently good with other groups of characters that he makes, but the captains are just all like it's like a huge collective of characters, and all of them look super interesting.
Yeah, as you were saying, the series does do this again from time to time, and this is definitely, it never gets bad. Like, all the Kubo's character designs are never bad, but like they're they're never like as iconic as these guys, because these guys are like they work really well because like they all have like a unified like outfit. Like, they all are wearing like the black kimono with the captain outfit, but they're all like wearing it in a slightly different way. You know, like they have Kenpachi has like the pointy hair with the ribbons. Other people have like a hat. One guy has a hat, you know. They all have like unique different hairstyles. It's really cool. Also,
and this is also where what you were saying earlier really comes into play, where you see like, was it 13 captains, right? And each captain has a lieutenant as well. So
yeah,
all of them have shikais that we all want to see and what they can do.
Yeah. The lieutenants aren't as memorable. There's some like memorable characters like Renji, obviously, and there's a character with big boobies.
I was about to say Kitsugaya's lieutenant, who I can't, Rangiku,
yeah. And I know the only reason I remember Momo is because Momo's in this arc.
Is she a lieutenant?
Yeah, she's Aizen's lieutenant.
Right.
And she's one of the few with a very forgettable sword design, because it just has some like, it's like one big sword with like some bits coming off of it, like a cactus. Like, it doesn't, it's cool, but it doesn't, like, it's not that memorable. Yeah,
I don't even remember it.
Yeah, and I do like how they play off some of the lieutenants and captains. Like, I know the only reason I remember Soifan's lieutenant is because Soifan is like the assassin. She's like nimble and like slim and stuff, and then her lieutenant is like this big fat guy. That's really great. Also, later on in the series, I also remember the old man's lieutenant. And I don't remember anyone else's. There's a guy with a 69 on his face. I think he's, whose lieutenant is he? I think he's... Is he Tozen's lieutenant? The guy with the 69 on his face?
Yeah. Yeah, that is Tozen's.
Okay, yeah. Also,
Justice.
Also, speaking of Tozen, we have more diversity in a Japanese media. It's crazy. Last time we had a Chad being they actually did explain Chad in this arc. They had a flashback with Chad, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you know, I was born in Okinawa, and then I'm half." He said that he was half Mexican, half Japanese. He was born in Okinawa, moved to Mexico, and then when his grandfather died, he moved back to Japan. But but yeah, now we have an actual black character that's not just like a meme. Because the anime is very, especially like early days anime, like around when Bleach was airing, anime was very infamous for having like a joke black character. But like, no, Tozen's like an actual like character. He has like character development and cool thing, and he actually he's like a cool character. He's like, in this arc, he's very like calm, collected, you know. He's talking about justice and how he doesn't like fighting. And he's got the drip. He doesn't just have black skin. He has like the hairstyle and like a little bit of the outfit too. I'm not super duper knowledgeable on black fashion for obvious reasons, but definitely I like his dreads.
Yeah, I think Tosin, very cool design, very cool character. Again, yeah, like you said, he's not a joke, and he has like the one thing, and it's not just about Tosin, it's about all of these captains. They all have different relationships with each other. Like some of them are friends and like each other. Like Tosin and Aizen are clearly like they get along with Gin. But then you also have like oh my god, I'm forgetting the doctor one.
Mayuri?
Yeah, Mayuri.
Everybody
a lot of the captains
him.
don't like him.
Yeah, everybody hates him. There's also some people who like everybody like respects Byakuya because like he's like the older guy. He's like he's from like a respected family. Everybody dunks on Toshiro because he's the youngest. Everybody hates, yeah. They all have like little different relationships. Also, the guy with a helmet on his head. Ooh, wonder what's up with him. These guys are so cool. There's a reason that like these guys are like I don't want to just spam saying iconic, but they're iconic.
There's a very good reason why whenever there's like Bleach fan media, I think, and what you're gonna see going forward with the series, it isn't Uryu, Orihime, and Chad who are like only showing up in fan media and fan pictures, or even like in official media with official art along Ichigo, right? Like it starts becoming the captains where they feel like the actual secondary main cast, and it's just because
they do get
like such a huge impact.
Yeah, they have a lot of impact, and they do have a lot of background, like earlier, like a lot of like development, like what we were saying earlier. Bleach's biggest strength and biggest weakness is the fact that there is a lot of effing characters, and they all get like a lot of character time. So like even like all these characters, I can off the top of my head, I can imagine that I can think of at least like 2 or 3 episodes that were focused on them specifically. So they're very good. I like them. Da-da. Yeah, the show has crazy like character. The show just in general has crazy character diversity. Like there's pretty much like every single like body type in the entire show. Because, like, yeah, you have, like, the big booby characters, but you also have, like, more regular-looking girls, like Momo and stuff like that. And you have literally everything in between, and even the guys, there's some that are fat and then some that are just effing ripped. Most of the characters are actually ripped, I'm not gonna lie. But, yeah, it's also, and again, in this arc specifically, we do see a lot of interaction between them because there's like this big conspiracy going on because, ooh, somebody killed Aizen. Who did it? Oh my gosh. And Gin's looking a little sus. It's just like in my favorite video game, Among Us. We gotta find the imposter.
And, you know, I'll say this, it's a very, I think in a lot of shonens, especially of like Bleach's kind, when they get to a type of arc like this, it is usually just Ichigo goes around and beats the bad guy, goes next, beats the main bad guy, goes next. But the fact that the captains all have this like crazy animosity towards each other, and they're all trying to find out who killed who and this, that, and I actually find that super, super cool and super unique to Bleach.
Yeah, I'm very interested in seeing going back to the next arc, because a lot of people say like, oh, the next arc is just the same as this arc but not as good, but I do remember it being different enough to be able to be unique, so I'm interested in getting forward. Speaking of going forward, so yeah, captains are good. Also another point for the dub, for Kenpachi, in Japanese, his like also a good dynamic is Kenpachi's lieutenant, which is a little girl with pink hair. I love the character arc of a big, strong, brooding guy paired with a little girl he has to take care of. Which happens a lot in anime. Accelerator and Last Order all comes to mind off the top of my head. I think they also did that in like Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
Do you know who I'm talking about? Like the one of the kahunas and like the ghost girl or whatever? Not the ghost girl. In the anime. I don't remember if that was in a manga, but yeah, Chihiru's great. Anyway, in Japanese, she calls Kenpachi Kenshan. And then in the dub, they translated that to Kenny. And that's...
wasn't a bad transition. I don't disagree with that.
I was gonna say iconic. Like, especially, like, you have all these, like, other dudes with, like, Japanese names. and then you just have Kenny. Like that was I remember in the early Bleach community, in the early Bleach forum days, everybody loved calling Kenpachi Kenny. Which is really funny because like I don't hear him called that very much nowadays, so maybe they stopped doing that in the dub. I don't remember. Again, even though there's a lot of characters and they get a lot of screen time, because there's so many characters with so much screen time, you do end up with characters that, you know, Kenny gets some episodes this time, but he doesn't get another episode until like 50, 60, 80 more episodes. Chan is usually dubbed that way in anime, in the early days at the very least. Again, Bleach being in a weird middle ground between modern dubbing and Pokemon dubbing. Dragon Ball did that once. Interesting. Anyway, we love Kenny. Also, hey, okay, I was gonna, this is going a little long, but we don't have that much to talk about.
I was gonna say, I can't stay for too much longer. So is it okay if I bring up something that I might have to leave a bit early for?
We can always cut it off a little bit, and then talk about it next time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I will. Was it about the third ending? Because I was also going to talk about the third ending.
It was not actually about the third ending.
Okay. But I might talk about this a little bit more later, but the third ending is like the best ending because it shows off all of these characters, and it also like foreshadows what they do. Like here, I have a lot of examples. I might show some more later, like as they become relevant. But you definitely get like you get some hot foreshadowing. Like this shot with the captain who has a bucket on his head. There's like a big shadowy figure behind him. Like little things that aren't quite spoilers, but they do. Also, this shot of Byakuya, where this shot of Byakuya that has like petals, right? And then there's also they also this shot I like a lot of the head captain being in the hot tub, and his lieutenant is there, but he's like, the hot tub is too hot for him, right? You know what that's foreshadowing?
Oh, that's actually really cute.
Yeah,
that's really cute.
Because his lieutenant's there too, but he's just like dying, and he's just chilling in that hot tub. So anyway, I like the third ending foreshadowing. I might talk more about it later. We're just gonna have this picture of Kenpachi being ripped. Okay, so two more things I wanted to talk about before we ended was let's have this picture of Ichigo being ripped. Why is everyone ripped in the show?
They're all the ideal male body.
Although there are some fat guys, like the remember the guy who Uryu fought was this big fatso?
Mm-hmm. Or also, like you said, Soifan's lieutenant.
Yeah, there's just a lot of like character diversity. That's why this back in the day, like this was such a popular cosplay show, because like regardless of what your body type was, you could find a character in Bleach you could cosplay. Okay, anyway, two things. First is the Renji rematch. I love me a good anime rematch.
And this one was a grudge match.
This one,
remember, it's the first time Ichigo loses, I believe. Like, just outright.
He doesn't lose. Well,
Renji?
he kind of ties. The rematch.
Yeah. Well, I was talking about the original match. Is that he
oh
lost.
Yeah.
He's rematching someone he lost to before, right? Because before it's all Monster of the Week stuff.
Yeah. He lost to Renji and Byakuya, and now they're fighting back again. Ichigo's stronger, and also Renji makes an off comment about how like lieutenants and captains, when they go to the human world, have a power limiter on them. So like right now I'm 10 times stronger than I was back then, and I'm like, I guess that makes somewhat sense how Ichigo was almost able to defeat Renji if he had that limiter on him. Which they bring back once in a filler arc. That's never brought up again canonically, sorry. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. But it is a weird mechanic. I think they just wanted that one line to be like, I'm tougher too. But anyway, I like this. I love a good anime rematch. And this fight is a good example of what I was talking about last time about fights being more metaphorical and about being tests of like character or tests of resolve. Because literally the only reason that Renji went out of his way to do this fight was because he wanted. Because listen, earlier Renji was like, oh, didn't know Rukia was actually gonna die. Rukia's like my friend. So the only reason when he was going to go kill Ichigo, he didn't really want to kill Ichigo. He was just testing to see if Ichigo had the resolve to fight everybody in the Soul Society in order to save Rukia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because at the beginning of the fight, he's like, oh, I'm so much more powerful than you, Ichigo, and I'm just a lieutenant, and there's also 13 other more captains and lieutenants that you have to fight. Are you prepared to fight all of them if you want to get to Rukia? And Ichigo's like, fuck yeah, buddy! Do we not talk about D-Techno Life? There's so many good things. The opening is also really good. Iconic. We gotta move. We
didn't even talk about the new opening. That's right.
We might talk about it next time. I think it still is used for a couple more episodes in the next arc. But yeah. Anyway, it's a good test of character resolve because Ichigo opening also has foreshadow. I might have to look at that again. I know they show the Renji Ichigo fight in the opening. But yeah, I do like that because, again, Renji didn't necessarily... Because he like went out of his way. He went to jail because he went out of line to go fight Ichigo. And the only reason that he did that, like, if he just wanted to kill Ichigo, he would have, like, listened to orders and done a good strategical approach to him. But no, he specifically went out on his own because he wanted to test Ichigo's resolve. Are you a bad enough dude to save Rukia? Yeah. That's basically what he came to say. Like, yeah, because in that fight, he was very much like, there's all these people and you can't even defeat me, right? So, and I like that a lot. And, and then during that fight, Ichigo remembered about his training earlier about how he shouldn't have any fear. Have no fear in protecting himself, have no fear in protecting others, have no fear in killing his opponent, etc., etc. Oh yeah, they show Soifan and the Black Cat interacting. Which, combined with the ending, might be a spoiler, actually. Anyway. Blah, 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 blah. But yeah, and then at the end of that fight, Ichigo got the resolve, and you remember that power fluctuation that happened last time? Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Renji almost lost to Ichigo back then because there was like a random power fluctuation, but like Ichigo couldn't control it, and then he was able to focus. He focused his energy. He had a moment of inner reflectiveness. Again, very spiritual, very metaphorical, and he was able to do that again, but control it this time, and he shot a blue laser beam at Renji, and he died.
A very cool end to the fight, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then after the fight, Renji is like dead and bloodied and goes up to Ichigo and be like, please save Rukia, and then dies. He doesn't die, but you get the idea. Like, that, again, that whole reason's like, that whole fight was just like, you know how you in video games you gotta before you can recruit someone, you have to beat them in battle. That was basically what that was.
Mm-hmm.
that was basically.
Find out they both want Rukia to be safe.
Yeah, well, I think they already knew that. Like, I think by the time that Renji like separated from the because they were like in a lieutenant's meeting and Renji disappeared and Momo's like, oh, I wonder where Renji went, and then later he got like thrown in jail because of that. So I think from that moment, like, he was like, okay, I'm willing to throw away everything to try to rescue Rukia. But instead of joining up and teaming up with Ichigo and going to save Rukia, he wanted to test Ichigo's resolve first to see, like, oh, if you really are. Because Renji's like, oh, I'm not powerful enough to save Rukia by myself, so I have to go see if he's strong enough to, you know, help me go save Rukia. Again, basically, you have to beat the boss before they can join your party. He split Renji in half with his big sword. He made Renji climax with his big sword.
Jeez.
Yeah, he like he reached the climax of his powers and he went ah, and he died and he gushed out a bunch of bodily fluid. He's fine. What? I'm talking about when they both went full power and Ichigo won and he cut Renji and he started bleeding and he went, I'm dead and bleeding. That's what I'm talking about. What are you thinking about, Tevin and Azerad? What do you guys think of what I was talking about?
I can't say it on stream.
That's really funny. Anyway, I also like the flashback arc of I like the flashback of Renji and Rukia growing up together. Like they were like, you finally get to see like why Renji is so desperate to try to save Rukia. And like this whole like conflict that he had because he's like, oh yeah, they grew up in the slums together. Again, don't worry why slums exist in a world without hunger. Don't worry about it. But they grew up in the slums together, and then all their friends died. Somehow they died they died. Don't worry about it. Anyway, again, maybe there are like thugs in the Soul Society that do just kill people for fun. I can imagine. Knowing the scourge of society, I can imagine that there'd be people in the afterlife just be like, well, I'm immortal, so I might as well just go kill some people. Anyway, but I was saying that flashback arc was really good to show, like, you know, Renji and Rukia grew up in the slums together, and then they lost all their friends. They're like, I don't want to live in these slums anymore. We're gonna go become Soul Reapers, and we're gonna live the good life. So you can see Renji's kind of like, he was kind of torn between like, oh, wanting to save his childhood friend versus, you know, wanting to maintain the life that he fought so hard to get, you know? Because there was a risk involved. Like, if he's like, okay, I could go save Rukia, but then if I fail at saving Rukia, not only is Rukia dead, but also I'm back out in the streets. Now I can do bad shit forever, damn it. Nobody kill Tevin. You know what he's gonna do in the Soul Society. If he doesn't turn into a hollow first. Just kidding, Tevin. Anyway. But yeah, and then also
I'm gonna have to take my leave early because something's come up.
Okay.
But
the only thing I wanted to talk about was then the Kenpachi fight. So just quick thing about the Kenpachi fight. Also a good metaphorical fight because the whole reason Ichigo won that fight was because he was willing to learn his Zanpakuto's name and willing to like learn more about his Zanpakuto. Because at the end, the old man Zangetsu was like, "Oh, you hear that? You can hear me clearly, but he can't even hear his sword crying out in pain." So that's why Ichigo won that battle. We can talk more about it next time.
Yeah, I have stuff I would like to say about it next time, but I don't have time. So
okay, so real quickly, apparently currently how's Bleach Talk going? We're ending it. Anyway, so we will talk more about this next time, and we'll also talk about the last arc. Sorry for the short one, you know how life goes. But the next discussion series, we will finish talking about this, and we will also finish talking about the Kenpachi fight, and we will also talk about the rest of this arc, which will be episodes 41 to 63. You can skip 50. And that will be in 2 Saturdays from now, assuming probably. So yeah.
That's gonna be, there's a lot to talk about with that one.
Yeah, we might move that to where we can have more time, because we're gonna finish off this and talk about the next batch of episodes. But that's the loose schedule. Yeah, hope you enjoyed. A little shorter, but you know, that's how it goes sometimes. We will finish talking next time. No big worry. We just get to talk about Bleach more later.
Exactly.
So yeah, I will save my notes and I will add to them, and we will see you all on May 20th.
Ooh.
Ooh. Also, I will see all of you in like half an hour, because when I'm gonna do another stream of playing Splatoon. But I will see the Bleach viewers and Azerad May 20th, which is 2 Saturdays from now. So see you then.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. Bleach. Hashtag bleached. This image is also what I was talking about. It was used in that, like, iPhone game. It's in the same pose. Wow. Okay, actually, bye.